welcome Santa Bob McMasters, and let's get this party started. To my right will be Santa Randyl Santa. Mess that up again. Randyl Santa Checker Lee, Randy Wagner. See, it's your permission to do it that way. And today we have a company. Hence, we're brought in Scott, Santa Scott from Oklahoma. Hey, Santa Scott. Hey, Randy.
Here. How you guys doing? The weather's great here, a little warm, but not as warm as it's been over the past few weeks. So I'm just glad to see a little cool weather come in the mornings. How about you guys?
Oh, it's been we had some crazy storms, thunder and lightning last night, and pouring like crazy. But as long as I keep the windows open, it was great until it was like 57 last night, and only got the upper 70s today. But storm was pretty loud this morning, pretty loud. But the grass needed watering.
Well, for us down here in North Central Texas, it's some of the same that we had throughout the summer. We're mid 90s to upper 90s here in North Texas. Doggone sunshine galore and no rain in the forecast. So we're kind of having that second round that we get each year. It'll stay this way until down usually around the second weekend in October when we get that first real cold front. We're ready. That's for sure. All right, I see that Mr. Ben Bellhorn. Hi, how are you today? AJ, good to see you. Scott Parker, David Dixon. Ben says, hey, look, it's Bob, Scott, and Randall, and Angela trying to keep them out of trouble. Good luck with that.
Boy, is he not right.
Good luck to you, Angela is right. Boy, she's got her hands really full with three of us today. Oh, my goodness.
Three to keep up with today. We thought we'd try something different, bring in and company, because when we started this show 12 weeks ago now, by the way, this is September 19th, 2022, episode 12. 12 weeks ago, Randy and I said, well, let's kind of take a page from the Tuesday Night Live show, and every once in a while we'll bring in someone to kind of sit in with us and fold into the mix. And so, hey, Scott was available today, so we threw him into the hot fire, and good to have all of you with us watching today. Good to have Randy and Scott on the program with me today, too. Hey, Santa Tom up there in Vancouver, Washington.
This ought to be a fun mess today for more than one reason. When Randall's not here, who's here? So now you got all three of us, not just two of us. I like it. I'm going to have fun today.
Stooges.
What's that?
The Three Stooges.
Yeah. Three Stooges.
All right, who's Mo, who's Curly, who's Larry? All right, or Shemp. Someone's got to be Shemp. I'm sorry.
I'll take
they're all famous. I don't care.
Good.
They're all good. All right, so Scott Parker. I have no plans until 5 p.m. or so. Just saying, a long show today. Well, it could be. You never know. I mean, get started.
Don't force our hand. There's no telling what we'll come up with. Talk about a lot of nothing, and with a lot of nothing content that might be interesting. Who knows? Oh my goodness.
No problem. We're all three here full of hot air. We can go for a long time.
Well, I think they've learned that between Randall, you and I being on here alone, and then Bob and I being on here alone. Now all three of us. Angela's probably right. The Three Stooges for sure.
All right, so we beat the weather down. We talked about the opening. Said hello to everyone that's on so far. Let's go ahead and move on to that something burger. I'm kind of getting hungry here. Hey, Randy, I have a question for you. Do you play an instrument?
Do I play an instrument? I just bought a kazoo. Does that count?
Yeah, of course. Kazoos are hard to accomplish.
I tried to play bought a ukulele. And I thought,
takes a lot of hot air.
I can do that. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's something Scott and I have in common. We were both drummers at one time, so somebody's going to have to learn how to play the guitar though, because that's something I tried and I can't do.
Bob, you remember I bought that banjo and had it, tried to do it, but my fingers just don't roll on individual strings.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. And forget this hand. It's this one that you got to roll those three fingers. And the guy came back that I bought it from and said, "Hey, I wouldn't mind having my banjo back." I said, "You're welcome to it. It's gone. So no more banjo. I'll stick with the skin."
We have a local Santa here in the North Texas area. He's not real well known across the community, but he is one of the top banjo makers in the world and one of the best Santas that you would ever meet. Santa Chuck Lee. I don't know if either one of you know Chuck Lee. He would be a great guest to have on in the future if I could wrangle him into doing it, but he is so busy. He also does bookbinding for journals, and he's also learned how to be a seamster and makes his own costumes. So he stays busy all the time. All right. Okay. So we started something, Burger. Let's jump into it. We got multiple hot topics today, and I'm gonna let Randy start off with topic number one.
All right, these are not super hot, but these are just some questions that that we all get asked all the time, and there's so many wonderful answers by all the Santas. My first question to all you guys and ladies out there, first question is the children will ask, how do you fly around the world in one night? What are the coolest answers you guys have given? That's one of the questions. The second question is, how do you do all the gifts in your bag? I'm just curious. Those are two very curious questions that the children will ask. So really curious to hear what all our talented Santas and Mrs. Clauses say about that. How do we get around the world in one night? And how do we get all them toys in that little bag?
That's right. Go ahead and give us your 2 cents worth. Throw it into the comment box. Let's discuss this. Let's talk about it. This is something that I really love that we started a few weeks back. This Something Burger, Hot Topics. It gives us all a chance to participate, be part of the show, pick each other's brain. I've got light coming in from the window in front of me. Sorry about that, guys, but we'll have to deal with it for a minute. Anyway, go ahead and give us some answers.
Well, Bob, if I can throw my 2 cents in, I usually tell the children that, and the adults as well, that I fly backwards to the national dateline. And that's how I do it in one night, because I start a day ahead of Christmas here. And that's how I make my trip. Now, the toys get into my bag magically by the elves inserting to keep me in line on my schedule.
Yes, I also say not only flying across the international dateline, of course, everything is due south from the North Pole, so you got to start somewhere. Start at the international dateline where it's already tomorrow, but as you say, you get there a day ahead of time. That gives you more than actually 24 hours to do your trip around the world. Some guys can wrap their head around it, the little guys can't. But you start there at the first island that you come to, and you work your way around, and you end up there, on the other side, and you get all your goodies delivered, and your day is done. You get to go home and rest for a while.
Yeah, very good answers. Yeah, that's because most everybody knows that at the North Pole there is no real time zones.
Right.
And we basically have more than a night to deliver. We start out, let's say, at 6 o'clock, but we really have over 24 hours to make that delivery because of the time change going around the world. So as long as you tell the children properly, that's what I've been telling them. I didn't know if there was any other cool scientific or fun little way of putting it. That's why I wanted to pose the question to see what else is up there. And of course, everybody says the elves, pack the bag. And of course, the movies have said about the little time wormhole thing to the North Pole, and it gets fed from below. And so I did a little thing like to miniaturize stuff coming out of a bag. So
that's great.
Sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as Randy mentioned, there's 24 time zones across the globe, which gives you hence the 24 hours in one day. And again, you can explain that, and that kind of helps people understand. And remember that first island you come to is Christmas Island. On that side of the international dateline, when you come back around, the last island that you visit is Easter Island in the South Pacific. So use those answers. The children are amazed by it, and just a great way to get your point across without getting too confusing with some of the smaller guys. You got to kind of keep it simple. The older guys, you can go into more detail. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I usually let them know that, the people that are in Asia and to the east or west of us, depends which way you're going in the globe, But from the national dateline, those people, you have to take the time to explain to them that they're a day ahead of us, and you end up with Hawaii being 6 hours behind us. So, you know, like you said, 24 time zones, you have basically almost a day and a half to move through them all. So, I don't actually do it 24 hours, but generally you won't find me out on the 24th here in the U.S. because I'm already overseas delivering gifts to the nice boys and girls, and every once in a while a naughty one.
And I always say that not all children and families celebrate Christmas either, so I don't have to go to every house. So,
Well, there's a few dreidels that I give out during the season. They're mixed families, so they get a dreidel and maybe a gift both. So it's kind of I get asked a lot of different questions when it comes to that. It goes back to how do you fly, not necessarily how you get around. They can kind of have that figured out. But my advice is to most people, guys, we need to go on the internet and study what's on there, and put it in our backstory. It can deviate some. It just depends on the venue you're working. I think is that what you have to adjust your backstory to answer those two questions. In my opinion,
I used that at one time. I had from the movies Harry Potter. They have a little medallion that they would spin with an hourglass, and that would change time back. And I used that for a couple of years to tell, hey, you remember the movie how it turned time back? So I would spin the thing, and that's how I get around. That's what I used for a couple of years, which was a nice little visual thing. But it didn't last that long because it was from wherever made, and so I wish I would still have these. It was a fun little visual thing to explain to the children. They remember the movie besides, Harry Potter. So how they went back in time and all that, how time slowed down and all those kind of things.
well, thank you, X-Ray, also for your input and correcting us. And 37 time zones, but some of them are about 30 to 45 minutes apart. Those are the quick deliveries, Rex. Just so you know.
I didn't realize it was that many time zones, Rex. That's really cool. That I did, like you said, Scott. Go to the Google internet. We got to learn that stuff. I guess I didn't learn that. I didn't know. I always said 24 because there's 24 hours in a day, just like Scott, like Bob said. That's what I go by. But 37.
Yeah, it's a little confusing if you get any deeper in that with some of the children, but that is a good point. And remember, the children have their devices right there in hand, and they can find out answers. So certainly don't want to have egg on your face.
Well, as we get older, the chuckle and oh my goodness, my memory's failing me again. So don't forget to write me the letter so I don't forget what you really wanted for Christmas and drop it in my mailbox, or have your folks email it to me. That way we make sure it gets there. I'm sure Mom, Dad, you do have my address still, right? And of course, I always say yes. But
and two, that is part of our trivia question for today. So let's not get too deep into that yet. Let's go on to topic number 2. I think we've come up with some good answers for Randy's topic. Let's go to topic number 2. What do you do if you are, and I saw this on the internet, this was on another board, very important question. What do you do if you're arriving or leaving a home visit and the neighbors or passerbys want to stop and take a picture with you and their children or visit before you actually make it to your home visit? Say, for instance, you can't get and this is why it's important to have a parking place close. But say you have to, park a block down and you're walking in, and neighbors happen to be watering the garden or, mowing the yard or whatever, and they see and they want to stop you. Do you stop and take that quick selfie with them? Do you speak for a moment? Do you tell them, hey, I'm on my way down the street. Catch me on my way back out. How do you handle that, guys? Randy, go ahead and give us your answer first.
Wow, it's like all the above. You don't want to ignore them because Santa's got to be Santa. He's always happy. He's always willing to be there. I've done both, and I'll be right back. Let me go to these, whatever this Smith house, whatever I said. I'll be right back. So give me a few moments, and we'll get a beautiful picture together. Or come on, real quick. I got 2 minutes before I got to make a special surprise. I've used both. Say I'm sorry, I got to wait to microphones are guys are good. Randall sounds okay. That sound a little. Oh, you both sound a little hollow, huh? Okay. But that's I've used both. So the last little thing that blurbed up. Sorry.
Yeah, to answer that, Santa Tom, Bob and I are using the same brand and same style microphone.
It's a near
Randy has an elf-made one.
WER, and
Yeah, mine's a snowball. So maybe it's just cold. That's the problem. It's a snowball. So maybe it's just cold.
ours, the one that me and Scott are using, the near has a preamp to it, 45 watts, I believe it is, isn't it, Scott?
You know, I don't remember, Bob.
It's like a 45 watt preamp.
It doesn't work. Our mics run off an XLR cable,
Yeah,
rather than a USB, and then it goes off to the amp and then to a USB.
right, exactly. Okay, Ray Bradshaw says he's got bad Wi-Fi, low battery, can't stay long. Ray, part of towards the end of the show, part of what we were going to talk about is one of the questions that you sent a private message to me last night because I was anticipating you being on the show today to watch. If for some reason you happen to drop out before we get to that segment, I'll holler at me, let me know, and we'll chat in a PM or on the telephone about the question that you posed to me last night. And the pictures that you sent were fantastic, by the way. All right, back to what we were talking about. You know, most of the time I'll take a quick selfie, even in a mall, going from dressing room to set. I'm not supposed to, but if the person is polite and approaches me with their phone ready, you know, I'll stop going and take that quick snap and say, hey, I've got to go. I'm on my break. You know, my time is limited or whatever. But try to move on. Try to keep it quick. Home visits. It's really easy to get stopped by the neighbors. That's why, again, guys, remember when you're setting up your communications with your contact person at the home visit, make sure that you tell them that you will call them to let them know that you are 5 minutes out to their home, to their visit, and for them to meet you outside. Of course, again, if they have any presents or giveaways that they want you to deliver in your bag, those are all set up outside. So it's important to have that contact person outside. Again, have a place to park if possible. They're really close. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Really important. If you can't, at least that homeowner is outside and sees that the neighbor has stopped you, just in case you get tied up for more than a couple of minutes. They will see what's going on and they won't think bad of you. They probably will think more highly of you for stopping you and their neighbor a quick selfie and a couple of encouraging words than if you just brush them off. So,
well, the other thing is if, like, I travel with either a driver or an elf, if Mrs. Claus and I are doing a gig in a neighborhood or a family or an HOA, I usually take a driver with me, Mitch, Mike, or Bob, you know, and the thing, the advantage of that I like is he can pull right up, let us out right at the venue, and he can go away. And there's not a whole lot of questions asked, and you don't get caught up. I don't personally like being stopped on my way in because I'm there by my customer, there because of my customer, and my 100% attention goes to that customer. I don't know that I would give. If they're kids, it's different. But if it's an adult, I'd say, you know, I have an appointment and I give them a card and, you know, I'd be happy to come back and visit with you or, you know, give me a call and we'll make arrangements for a visit. So it's another way to advertise too and not be completely rude about it, you know.
Always have your cards on hand, and that's a great way to handle that situation also. And you've got to remember the visit that you are there for is the person who actually is paying you to be on time. So important points, absolutely.
You know, or maybe the neighbors need to be more friendly with that family. Maybe they could come next time.
There you go. That would work out.
Another way to look at it is maybe they were not meant to be there, or not a. Every family deserves to have Santa.
Yeah.
Not all families are in the same financial situation to afford to have Santa come. And if they're in a different, if they're in a situation where they can't afford, probably those neighbors that can't afford are probably not going to invite them. You know, and that's just reality to it. But you know, like I say, there's a polite way to do it. to me, it's drop them a card and say, call me. You know, if they're a family that can't afford it, who knows? You might stop by there pro bono, you know, for 10 or 15 minutes if you're back in that neighborhood, or make a deal like that. So, you know, we're all in this business to make some money in this 6-week period, whether it's a mall or individuals or photo shoots. But to me, one of the most important things of it is that we're pleasing children, no matter if we get paid for it or not. You know, and there are people that can't afford us that the children still deserve to see us. So let's always try to keep that in our mind and have that open heart. You know, it's important. I better shut up, Bob.
Yeah, I totally agree with Scott about, and that's why we just kind of come to me. We got to make that decision at the moment. What you're going to do when the people are about it. Do you know you have an extra 2 minutes? Do you know? Can you tell they might not have enough money to take a quick picture? Are they ready? So you kind of can take you know, a quick view at the moment, or it's like I said, I guess I'll be back in a little bit. You know, kind of. Sorry, say I can't, but you can judge what's going on more than just I'm not going to, or yes, I'm going to. I think we have to at least. That's the way I do it.
It's a judgment call.
Yeah.
And Greg Switch commented, and he's absolutely right. It's about the children.
Well, and to remember, the glory of mall visits is exactly what it says, mall visit. You're not obligated to buy pictures or a photo package at the mall, but the set is always open for visitors. You have to get in line, stand in line just like everyone else, but you still get your time with Santa, even if you buy pictures or you don't. So that's also a way for low-income families, families of need, to be able to get that visit in, tell Santa what they want for Christmas, and keep that magic going without ever spending a penny. So that's another great point. It is about the children. Real quick, I want to say hello to Ken Boer, Mark Walker, and to Greg Swick. Greg, we're going to have you on in 2 weeks. We'll talk about that here in a moment. All right, you guys ready to move on?
Absolutely.
You know what that means? It's trivia time.
Oh, no. Get those fingers ready, guys.
Hey everyone, Elf Angela Mack here for Bob, Randyl, and Company Live. The show about nothing. Bob, Randyl, and Company Live is brought to you by Santa's Closet. Santa's Closet has been delivering unique, value-packed Santa and Mrs. Claus accessories since 2004. Santa's Closet's main goal is to provide both a superior customer experience with tremendous value for their customers. Santa's Closet brings more than 400 separate products to the Claus community at a reasonable price. Don't forget to check out their sister site, MrsClausJewels.com, where Mrs. Claus Janice is a leading supplier for Mrs. Claus, elves, and Santa jewelry, knickknacks, and accessories. Both Tom and Janice are passionate about exceeding your expectations, bringing you products of unparalleled quality and design. Visit their sites at santascloset.org and MrsClausJewels.com. This is Angela Mack reminding you to catch our show every Monday at 3 p.m. Central. Thanks for watching. Now let's get back to Bob, Randyl, and Company Live and today's Monday Santa's Closet Trivia.
I also want to give a quick shout out to Elmer Parasol visiting with us today. Good to have you on watching, Elmer. All right, Randy, you want to catch this one today?
Sure, be glad. This is now pretty close to Scott almost spilled the beans a little bit ago there. He's talking about the address here. But this is the question. It's a really cool question. So many people are asking this one. I know they are. Little ones want to know because they want to hear what's going on. What is the official address of the North Pole if you want to send a Santa letter? What is the official address of the North Pole if you want to send a Santa letter? Now,
that's silly, the question. We all should know that. We get letters. We should know our address.
Not your address. We all know that's not your address, Scott.
Well, it might be if I'm the official Santa Claus.
But I personally don't want mine sent to Rochester, Michigan. So.
Well, there's North Pole, Oklahoma. And there's
Michigan, and we don't want it sent there, though. You know.
Oh, you're probably right. that could be quite confusing. So I guess we all have our own post office box that everything goes to.
But there is a official address that the Postal Service has set up for this.
Santa's official U.S. Postal Service address or postal code. It's complete. Actually, as Scott said, there are a lot of North Poles around the country. Each state kind of has one or Christmas or something. Something that you can do, and I've done when I first started. Someone even asked this week on one of the Facebook groups about business cards if anyone had ever, and I think it was Santa Tom, had ever made a Santa sleigh driver's license into a business card. That was one of my first business cards. I got that idea from Tim Conahan. He was the one that I first saw using that, and Angela actually designed it, made it for me, put it together. And what you can do on there, and this was something I had to research, but you can use a fictitious name, a fictitious address, a fictitious location, as long as that 5-digit or even the 7-digit postal code is correct. It'll still make it to your house most of the time. So you can put on there a North Pole as long as you've got your, like say, 5-digit, or I said 5. It's 5 or 9 because it's some of them are like mine 75150 and then the next 4 numbers is actually the 4 most important numbers that brings it to your door. The last 4 codes if you have one. Anyway.
Yeah, you could put 123 Candy Cane Lane, North Pole, but as long as your zip code or the postal numbers or the 9 numbers are right, good percent of the time it will come directly to your home. But there is another address that United Postal Service has set up that's where it goes. That's kind of where it ends up.
That's
I don't know where that ends up officially.
The bulk letters that get sent by every child.
I know when I've taken stuff to the post office to be mailed, Santa Naughty or Nice, North Pole badges and wallet that I sell, or even the Texas State Santa chapter vest when I mail them out to my members that order them. If that postal code is not right, they will not take it. Like I say, everything else can be wrong on there. They don't care that what they put in when you walk up to the counter is that postal code. And if that postal code is right, they take it. So keep that in mind, guys. All right, we'll get the answer to that question. Got some great answers in there. Lots of right answers, I see, by the way, already. So
they need to be complete. The answer needs to be complete.
That's correct. It needs to be complete, and I see quite a few folks have gotten that complete and correct. So we'll fall back on Angela and see who the winner is here in a bit. Let's go ahead and do the other side of the commercial for Santa Tom. All right, it's preview time. Tuesday Night Live preview. That's what we're here for today, to talk about what's coming up. Randy, tell us what we got coming up tomorrow night on Tuesday.
Tomorrow night. Can you believe it's tomorrow night? It's already the 20th of September. This year is just a blink of an eye again. Tomorrow night, if you guys are looking for some work, Cherry Hill will be here tomorrow night. They have got all across the U.S. and Canada, they're doing stuff. So the Cherry Hill program will be here to talk about stuff. Of course, they're recruiters to get Santas, and I believe they do Mrs. Clauses too, and elves, and a little bit of everything. So don't miss that to hear about what's available. I mean, they've got fill-in, they've got full-time, they've got everything. So join us for that.
And I know that some of you may have met that they moved a couple of the people up that had been in other departments within Cherry Hill programs into the recruiter's office this year to help make that expeditiously quicker and faster and smoother transition for signing Santas to their contracts. Andrea and Crystal are 2 that they moved up. So we'll have Becky and Ruby, as we've had on the show many times, and Crystal and Andrea will be on tomorrow night. Now, they were both in Branson at Spangles Get Together. We got to meet them there face to face for the first time. I've talked to them in emails before, communications, but Finally got to meet them. They've been to a couple other events. I think they went to Atlanta. And so we'll have all four on tomorrow night. Be a fantastic show.
It'll be great tomorrow night. Now, the next week, the 27th, don't miss. We got a special guest that you guys will be really, really excited about on the 27th. We're keeping it a secret for the 27th. But don't miss it. We'll let you know when it comes a little closer. It's a special one. Then on the 4th, Greg Switch. I tell you, Greg is this guy does videos that just virtual that just is mind blowing. He interacts with his reindeer. He interacts with his elves. He drops envelopes into wormholes that you see just disappear. I mean, Greg does he is a lot of fun to hear and to listen to, and the guy is always thinking about virtual, and that's basically all he does. He doesn't really do live, so it is his sole focus. So he's always something to watch.
He is definitely the virtual king. He's definitely Greg Switch is definitely the virtual king.
Yeah, it's
tons of knowledge the man has, and my hat's off to you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg, it's good.
I learned so much to the point that I gave up. I couldn't do it anymore. It's just, it's mind blowing what you do. So, guys, don't miss Greg's show. I mean, he's an amazing person. If you haven't seen his,
far surpasses just to have that green screen behind you and worrying about the halo. You know, he far beyond that. I mean, he's got to talk about his new little mic, and it's really cool. I mean, the stuff he does. Then on the 11th of October is the Tuesday night lives. Oh, the round table is the 2nd. I'm sorry, the 11th. That's the 11th is the round table. Hopefully we'll get a bunch of very hard questions or some things going on for a round table that night. A lot of hopefully great interaction on that Tuesday night. And then October 18th is a Halloween show. October 18th will be the Halloween show, so you got to join us for that one. I mean, it was a riot last year. I know AJ's out there. AJ, it's a great idea. I don't know if you're still on there, AJ. Your costume's going to be a great idea. Just wanted to let you know. But yeah, it'll be a fun time. That's October 18th. October 18th. Then it's the season for so many of us. So that's about it for the year. Pretty close. Wow.
Yeah, we've got the one show after the October 18th. The following Tuesday night will be the very last night of the season 2 for the Tuesday Night Live. The Randyl, Bob Randyl and Company show will be wrapping up the Monday before that. So we've all got to get ready to go to work, start getting ourselves prepared. And so, we're going to miss everyone. We enjoy doing this show. All right, let's step back real quick and talk about the October 18th, 2nd annual Halloween costume show. I think we've already got 7 or 8 folks signed up for that. It's already filling up really quick. I know last year we had a huge list. Some folks had trouble getting in. We're going to work really hard this year to make sure everyone understands. And this is something that I've thought about. I haven't mentioned to Scott or Randy or anybody else, Spangle, as far as that goes. But I think what we need to do is maybe do a quick video tutorial to show folks how to get into the green room, how simple it really is. And I think that's the problem, is that it's so simple that people get confused on how to get in. I mean, you virtually click on a hot link and you're in.
Yeah, you just sit and wait for to come up on the screen. Yeah, it's very simple. But I think people over, at least I did the first time, overthink it about what it should be. This is backstage. This is this. But it is, like Bob said, it's 2 clicks. I
think it's because we've been used to Zoom and Skype, and it's a different process to get in there, and it's kind of what our brains have been triggered to think. And that was one of the reasons why Scott and I and Ron Lamb, when we first started this show, the StreamYard shows, the 2 shows, went with StreamYard because it was the most affordable, had the most different things that you could use and do within the system, and how simple the simplicity of it was, and the quality of it. It truly is studio quality, right from your own, desktop. So fantastic. All right, let's see. Let's jump back to that Tuesday night live special roundtable panel. I do have a handful of folks that are already signed up to be in the panel, but I'll tell you what, as important as the panel is, the audience is going to be just as important, because this is going to be a truly interactive, all out. Those viewers, those folks who especially the new guys who really have a lot of questions, and you see these questions all day long on Facebook on all the different forums. How much do I charge? What do I say to this child? How do I do this? There's so many questions that come up when you're, in your first or second year getting into this industry. And this is what we want to try to do, is address all these important questions. So get your questions ready. Sit down between now and then, please. Write out a list of questions that you want to pose. Even if you know the answer to them, if you think it's a great question and it will help that first or second or third year Santa and Mrs. Claus out, throw them into your list. And please come on October 11th for the Tuesday Night Live special roundtable panel, tough questions and answers. We want your participation. It all depends upon how many good questions we get from you guys as to how much these experts, and I'm going to call them experts, expert panelists that we're going to pull in, folks that's been doing it for a number of years, even Hall of Famer, Rex Ray has signed up. He's going to be one of the panelists. Deanna Golden has signed up. She's, of course, the co-instructor for the Santa Nana Holiday University. So, and then that brings us back to Greg. Boy, we talk about Greg. Scott said it best earlier when we was in the green room, that how much Greg just blows his mind. Greg was so dedicated in the very beginning and had such a vision of what he wanted this green screen to develop to for him in virtual visits. And he has put so much time and effort and research. And then to make that stuff actually come true. And like Randy said, without haloing, that was the biggest thing I think most of us struggled with, was lighting, haloing, and depth perception and that sort of thing. But Greg even put money. He went out and bought the programs. He went out and bought the gadgets. He went out and put everything in place to be able to absolutely make it perfection. I mean, his stuff is so cool. Anyway, can't wait to have Greg back on. We've been wanting to have him on all year for quite some time. He's been so busy. We've been busy trying to keep up with week-to-week shows. And he reached out to me and said, hey, I'm ready. I said, great. I got a spot for you, and we're going to have him on again. That is October 4th. All right, guys, anything you want to add, Scott?
Well, my thing is that you need to dig into your closet and get your best costumes all cleaned up and geared up for the Halloween show. I am looking forward to seeing more Halloween costumes and more Halloween Santas, not necessarily as Santa, as another portrayal person, but I can't wait to see how you go. Ask your friends to come on and dress up. We'd love to see everybody. So it's not about who's here. We want the biggest audience we have had all year this year at the Halloween show.
And you don't have to be a member of the Santa community. This is open to anyone and everyone. Contact your neighbors, contact your friends, bring them on. Now, the only key to that would be the grand prize will be the scholarship to Branson School of Santas. That's a $359 value for top prize. We have an independent judge this year. Last year, Daisy May and Spangle did the judging. Of course, they were they were the ones that was giving away the prizes, so that's why we went with them last year. Now Spangle's part of Tuesday Night Live as a co-host, so he has chosen someone within his organization. His School of Branson is going to come on, and we'll reveal that at a later time. Great choice, though.
But
$49 includes your 2 show tickets and your meals. I mean, gosh, that's worth dressing up for, in itself. Not to mention the school.
You may have friends that you think would make good Santas, but don't want to take that extra step. Maybe they'll dress up for Halloween, and we'll push them right on in with the free scholarship class. So we're always out here trying to recruit new Santas. We need professional, good-looking, real bearded Santas. Not that a traditional bearded Santa is not a great Santa. There are lots of those out there. And hello, Mel.
Yes, and remember, there are 3 rules to the Halloween show. No Santa, no Mrs. Claus, no elf. You got to be something outside of that. Each person that signed up this year, we're finding out what their character is going to be, and we're asking for the email. That way we can give them the hot link to get into the studio. And last year, speaking of Mel was our winner last year with the Sugar Skull, fantastic costume that she had. And if you want to come as the same, costume character this year, that's fine and dandy. If you want to change up, do something different, that's good too. We just want you to come in. Let's have some fun, and make it a great show. Hey, we're a little bit too old to go out trick or treating at the door to door in the neighborhood, so let's do it this way and have fun with it. And there will be prizes for other things: best costume male, best costume female. But again, that grand prize is that scholarship to the School of Santas and Branson back coming up in July.
Hey, Bob, one other thing, not to change the subject to go back, but on the round table, if you guys got a list of questions and you don't want to put them up on there, email those to Bob, and we can bring those questions up during the show on the round table. I just think that sometimes you can't get them all on here, and if we need to read through some of them, we'll try to get those on. But I think that might be a good idea. If they had a handful of questions, you might be able to pick through some of those and have the roundtable answer some of those when the show starts.
That's true. You don't have to email them if you don't have my email address. I think a lot of folks do, but if you can't, PM them to me, PM them to Angela. Either way, we're here. Real quick, Greg says Mel set the high bar or the bar high last year. That is so true, Greg. But I got to tell you, me and Spangle and even Daisy May spoke after the show that night, and they had such a hard time deciding between you and Mel. It was a really close first and second on that. And so, Greg, you had a fantastic costume. And again, I really think that Greg's portrayal of his particular character was escalated by the fact that somehow or another we got an echo in there. And it was just, it was fitting for Halloween. If it happened any other time of the year, you would have said, what the heck is going on? But we actually thought that was something that he had, him being the guru, that he had actually built into that particular segment for that night. And it was, at first it was like, whoa. And then it kind of got to be funny after a while. And then to realize that it wasn't really meant to be, that it was just a technical flaw somewhere there. But anyway, Randy, what's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, because it sure added to the character. It really did add to the character. Fantastic. Greg, that was, just join us. It's just so much fun. And hopefully, Rex, maybe there will be candy in the green room. Rex was asking about candy in the green room. I don't know if you're particular on candy corns or whatever you're looking for, but Rex was asking about that. So, yeah. And also to go back what Scott said about sending in questions in for the roundtable, it'll also make sure that none of them gets missed. Because when you're scrolling, we don't want to make sure we don't miss any that somebody types in. So if you have a question you're really, really concerned about or really want to ask, make sure you get a hold of us ahead of time. Then to make sure we can address the roundtable can address those questions. It'll just make sure we don't miss any. It's something you really want to talk about.
That's right. I got to tell you guys, man, Angela stays busy trying to keep up with the comments coming in and getting the ones up on the screen that are something that is valuable to the conversation. She's over just constantly working. She has to go back and watch the replay to get any value out of it because she's the hard worker here. She's the one that makes this show possible with all the comments and everything that she puts into it. Yes, Greg says Phantom of the Echoing Opera. That was so true and that was so good. I still think it was, if it wasn't on Greg's part, it was just something that happened for a reason.
And Bob, I think at some point it would be kind of neat, even on this show or the other show, is to have Angela come in and talk about how she does what she does. It might be interesting. I know that that's not what she wants to do. We could put her not necessarily on the screen, but explaining it.
Yeah,
she does a lot for the show. Really does. Everybody hears about Angela, and people that are watching don't know how hard Angela works for the show and does things. So she needs to get a super applause by everybody. She really does.
The other thing is, Angela, here she all right.
Yeah, that girl.
But the thing that people also don't realize is Bob, the time he puts in to do these scripts and up till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and sending emails to us at 4:30 in the morning when he's going to bed. Guys, this is a production, and it takes a whole lot out of Bob and his family's time. to make all this happen. And we need to find a way to actually do something special for them. Maybe if you're ever in the Mesquite or Dallas area, take them to dinner or something. Guys, it's brought to you by Randyl and Bob and Angela, and Carol puts up with Bob. Oh my God, that's a job in itself. So I mean, my hat's off to you, Bob. I don't live that far from you, but I've been on the phone in the middle of the night with you. You're saying, oh my God, something's gotta give. I'm so tired. I got to do this. I need this. So if you're ever asked to be on the show, by the way, please get your information to Bob as early and quickly as possible, because it throws him up in the middle of the night. But we love doing this, or we wouldn't do it. So, and that's Randyl, Bob, Angela, and myself. And I love coming on here, and I love seeing you guys, and you guys seeing my beautiful face. And I didn't even get a smile out of Bob on that one. But anyhow, no, we're super, super happy that you continue to join Bob and Randyl every week. And from me here in Oklahoma, and I'm going to shut up after this, I promise, Bob, but I wish everybody a very happy and healthy season. I'm sure you probably will see me on the next few shows before the end of the year. But if I don't get the chance to tell you, have a very, very healthy and happy season, and best wishes to you and your family.
Well, falling back on how much time it takes to put these shows together, it's a labor of love. It's something that I have talked about before, that a process that I'd had for a number of years. I've got to say thank you to Santa Scott and Ron McLeod for helping me put this show together, get it started. This show, Tuesday Night Live show, when I speak of this show, I'm speaking of the whole family, the Tuesday Night Live family. And then I've got to tell you guys, we had a great run on Monday with Barry and I. Barry elected to step out. He wasn't, didn't have the time to devote to the show anymore. But I could not have picked better co-hosts than Randy and Scott to help out. Scott is a fill-in most of the time. Randy has brought so much to these shows. He not only helps on Monday, he even helps me on Tuesday at times. He's constantly promoting. I'm sure you've seen it. You probably say, man, how many times is he going to put that up? Hey, we got to constantly keep it out there, because that's the only way people remember. They may see that you're on Monday at 3 or that you're on Tuesdays at 7, but then 2 days go by and they forget about it. And so you got to constantly be reminding people here, hey, here we are. Come check us out. If you like us, I mean, look at the following that we have now. The folks that show up each week, week in and week out, all quality people. Could not do this without the Gregs, the Scotts, the Tammys, the Danas, the Moises and the Erics. I mean, we can just go on and on and on. And all the folks that tune in and week out. Santa Mel, a fantastic support group that we have, and we want to thank everyone. Now, look, let's move on. We've harped on this long enough. Thanks, everyone, so much. Unless you two guys have Randy, you have a follow-up?
No, I can't say thank you enough to, of course, Bob, Angela, Scott, and of course everybody that watches. Just can't say thank you enough, because, like you said, it is a labor of love. We just love it, and thank you everybody for joining us. I mean, there's no other thing besides say thank you. I mean, it really is heartwarming.
Randy, thank you, Scott, and thanks to everyone. Okay, now Scott Parker mentioned a long show. I think we're going to have a long one today. We're only about halfway through what we got to discuss here. Real quick, Elfin Chatterbox News. We want to remember Scott Parker's custom Christmas buckle raffle will be September 27th on the Tuesday Night Live show. If you bought a raffle ticket to get that Artist Proof #1 buckle, fantastic buckle. We've talked about it many times. Be sure and check in the 27th and see if you are the winner. Second thing on the list, we always want to remind everyone that, yes, the Bob Randyl and Company live preview show, as it's on YouTube channel now. Please check that out. Give us a subscribe if you feel like it. We would love to have you as a subscriber. We put up every show shortly after it ends live, and everything's categorized there. One real quick other note on the Elfin Chatterbox News, the Texas State Santas is having their 12th annual, and I say 12th annual, it's actually something that I started 12 years ago. But as the director and founder of the Texas State Santas, we kind of rolled that in together. 12th annual, kick off the season, eat and meet September 24th, I believe it is.
1 o'clock.
at 1 p.m., and that will be at Tobert's Restaurant and Chili Parlor in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas, the Christmas capital of the world. Well, of Texas anyway, but we like to say of the world. Fantastic little town just north of DFW, north entrance to the international airport here. Little town, it's got a fantastic lake, great little town, city, and they have a train. They do the Polar Express. They have they go all out for Christmas each year. So that's where we're having our kick off the season. When I say kick off the season, that is getting everyone ready for the season. This will be our last eating meet. If you're in the North Texas area or anywhere else in the country, you'd like to come join us, reach out to me and let me know. I've got to have a good head count by Wednesday because it's this next week. So fantastic. All right, moving along. I guess we need to give trivia answer. Randy?
All righty, guys. Remember the question. The question was, what's the official address of the North Pole if you want to send a letter to Santa? Of course, by the U.S. Postal Service. And I know we had some great answers there, definitely some right-on answers. The answer is 123 Elf Road, North Pole 88888. They're 5 8s. So that's 123 Elf Road, North Pole 88888. And I know we had a couple of we had some answers. Don't know who did the right one, but a lot of great answers. But it works. Just send it, and it'll go to that certain area where it'll be. But try the other one with your code too. Then you'll get them home, and you can answer.
That's true. That's very true. The 88888 actually goes to a designated office where they have folks that are dedicated to answering Santa's letters each year. So that's kind of the official place it goes. Lots of helpers there to take care of those letters. But again, as Randy said, try putting your postal code on there and see if it comes straight to you if you want to do that. For instance, on my website that I actually have a letters to Santa page. I've got 10 pages on that particular website, and you can actually write Santa a letter, send it to me, and I will write you back. That's another good way of staying in contact with the children. Now then, our winner is Bob Smith. Congratulations to Bob Smith. First one to throw that answer in and get the complete answer. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, you know what time it is? Santa Shorts.
Hello, everybody. It's Randy, and just take a minute with Santa's Shorts. It's a small peek, just a brief peek into the world of Santa. I'm just kind of recap something that we all know, but is getting so close to the season. I mean, there's a lot of us that will be doing photo shoots in October, only a few weeks away. So, and these are all just basic things to remember, and also what a client looks for, or an agent looks for, or the children look for in a Santa. It's all a little different, of course. An agent looks for somebody that's dependable, reliable. Of course, we all know you've got to have the looks, you've got to have the beard, you've got to have if it's designer or real, you've got to have the suit and all those kind of things. All three of those, the agent or your regular client or your children, want to see you in the great suit and the Santa look. Of course, all your clients, they're all the same when it comes to, you want to be happy. Do you want to be jolly? You have to be that for all the clients too. These are all common sense things. These are all something we know as Santa that we have to be if we work for an agent, if we work directly through the house, or if we work for a mall, or we, to please the children. We know that those things are the thing. And of course, the attitude, we have to have the Santa attitude, that always smiling. And we always have to remember that sometimes, we work long days. We work very long days. And, we started at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we've got to be just as jolly then as we do at 10 o'clock at night. It's not easy sometimes, but the children and of course the agent or whatever your client is really, really, really needs that from you, because we've made the commitment as Santa to always be that way, be jolly and everything else. Happy and of course on time. All the children really don't care about you being on time too much, but definitely the agencies and the home visits or any kind of mall visit, you really do. Of course, it's common sense, is hygiene. Snow is not a nice thing to talk about, but the long days, there's different ways to refresh your suit, or if you could have a few, sometimes it's always a great idea. When you're doing 50, 60 visits a year, um, you need to, or sometimes a lot more than that. You're talking a few hundred hours, 300 hours wearing a couple suits. Make sure you refresh those on a regular basis. Of course, all the other things. And I was on a meeting the other night. People said they do the little water and vodka, that little spray to take away some of the thing. Now, somebody also at that night came along and said sometimes it leaves a little bit of an alcohol smell sometimes. So of course we know we don't want that ever to happen. So please be careful about trying that, because it is very good to refresh and take away body perspiration smell with the vodka and water spritzing on your suits, and it doesn't cause any problems. But you've got to be also very careful about, if somebody's close, they can smell a little bit of alcohol on Santa. We definitely don't ever want that to happen. Of course, that the clients, the agents, and of course the children definitely don't want to do that. Um, and of course, the biggest thing is all the agents want to make sure there's no problem. No agents want no problems. Your clients want no problems. Nothing political. Nothing like that. We all, again, these are all very common sense things, but something we have to refresh our memory about every time before the season starts. We're so excited about learning a new routine or learning to tell a story. We sometimes have to go back to basics and remember, I've got to be Santa all the time. I've got to smile. And that's probably one of the biggest things. Smile with your eyes, smile with your teeth. Well, sometimes you can't always smile with your teeth, but be really engaging. But think of those three. I break them down into three: my agent I work on, my clients, and of course the children. They all should go together. But please take the time and think about it, because the season is right around the corner, and we want to be the best Santa and Mrs. Claus we can. Thank you again, guys, for letting me ramble for a little while. I'll see you soon. Santa Shorts.
Bravo, bravo. Great segment. Fantastic, Randy. Let's see, real quick, Angela, can you put up Michael Howell? I don't want to say hi to Mike. Michael, good to see you today, brother. I laughed really hard when this came up on the screen a while ago. This is when Scott and Randy was giving yours truly some kudos there, and Michael put that up. I thought that was funny. Of course, they came back later and said, Bob, laugh out loud. But you made my day, Michael. Fantastic. All right, let's see here. Good stuff, Randy. Scott Parker says, as always, Randy's right on point with everything that he contributes to the Santa Short segment. So glad that Randy had the vision of starting that particular segment. It's a great segment. We look forward to it each week because we know he's going to bring the content.
Well, Bob, I'd like to add something to Randall's bill. Of course, why not? But I use something called an LG styler. And it's a machine, and it's not really a dry cleaning machine, but it uses steam. And I put my suits in it, and it shakes them and sanitizes them with steam. And I do that generally every gig when I come back from my job, whether I've worked 2 or 3 locations or one. But in the evenings, it goes in there and it comes out. And Colleen, those that don't know, are my elf, usually brushes the fur out on them, and they look like brand new the next day. And as we all know, we all have a tendency to perspire, sometimes profusely. So this was my answer. She saw it online and said, but it's called an LG styler, and it's a cabinet that sits, actually sits in our bedroom. And when I take my suit off, it goes in there. They're a little pricey, but if you dry clean it all the time, they pretty much will pay for themselves in not too long. When we got it several years ago, it was about, I'm going to guess, what did I say, Bob? Probably $1,200-$1,300, I think is what we paid for it.
I think you told me 12, yeah.
Yeah, and so, if you have some extra change after it, you might do the research. Hello, Elf. There goes my wife.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you're talking $1,200. I mean, that's a lot of money, but remember how much our suits cost. you know.
Yeah, and a lot of
$3,
guys,
$6, $8, $1,500 a suit. We have to take care of them, and we're that close to people all the time. I mean, we're all bigger people, like you said. We perspire, and we definitely don't want that to any kind of hygiene that way. I mean,
and you got to worry about the dry cleaners messing it up, turning the fur opinion, losing it. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios that can happen when it leaves your hands. You go somewhere, third party. And with Scott's solution, it's right there. You don't have to worry about it. You know it's going to come out fresh. And a lot of guys, if you can find a furrier, this has been brought up on the show before, and something that was brought to my attention a number of years ago. But if you can find a furrier, they will do a different type of cleaning on it, and they pretty much will 100% guarantee that they won't mess it up. But it is pricey there again too. It costs about twice as much, 3 times as much for a good furrier than a dry cleaners. So again, it would pay for itself in no time at all.
Scott Parker said $9.99 to $1,500 on Amazon.
There you go.
LG Styler. So over 2 or 3 years, it'll pay for itself easily. I think. I mean, we use it for everything: suits, the boys' ROTC uniforms. I mean, we use it for everything, and it saves a ton in dry cleaning because dry cleaning's not getting any cheaper, guys. We all know everything's going up.
And think about this. You have a decent season. You always want to reinvest into your business because this is a business for each one of us. And take a small portion of what you've made for the season and invest it into that. I can't think of a better way of protecting your suit. And, that's just, to me, $1,500 is cheap insurance if you can make enough money to allow to put, something back into your business.
And if you do put that money back into it, it's a write-off. It is a business write-off besides.
And I want to address Tammy Cohen's comment that she has here real quick. A lot of guys have used Febreze. I even used Febreze when I first started until I found out from a costume maker, Chrissy Kovic, brought this to our attention. Febreze is only a masker. It does not kill the enzyme, the sweat, the bacteria that builds up inside the armpits and stuff of your suits. It only covers it up. It masks it. And Febreze is a chemical, and it will build up over time. And what it does, if you have a satin lining or a cloth lining inside, which all coats have, it builds up to the point that it will actually cause that material to start to deteriorate, brittle, and even start to crumble over time, over years. It will take years, but that's just something to think about. So, I mean, if you had to use it in an emergency in a quick, instance, it would probably be all right. But over time, if you use it time and time again, it does build up and can create a problem for your suits, your coats, and that sort of thing. So, best thing to do each night when I get off at the mall, turn them inside out, pull the sleeves out, hang them up, and let them air dry overnight. That helps somewhat. But again, a good cleaning and with Scott's solution, can't beat that. Let's see, what did Greg say here?
He got spanked. Oh, great.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Spangle. Your letter came today. All right, that's something from Scott Parker there at the Spangle. All right, guys. Anything else on the topic of the Santa shorts?
No, I think, Bob, you take off there with the Santa Magics bag.
Yeah.
Let's do that. It's a new segment today. We're going to have, if I were an agent, this is another new one that we're going to throw in today. Very important, and I hope that Ray Bradshaw is still on with us because this was written for him.
Ready?
Ready. That'll make you want to get up and shuffle your feet for sure. All right, so Santa's magic bag. How Santa's elf keeps his beard and hair in top flight condition. I get this question constantly. I guess because my beard and hair is on the longer side from some guys. Scott, as well as myself, we bleach quite often. Randy, because he has other performing gigs throughout the year. He only bleaches at Christmas time, but it's something that I'm constantly getting bombarded by, and I always take my time to reach out to every person and try to give them all the information I can. I'm not a hairdresser. I don't know anything about beauty, supplies other than what I've learned from my local Sally's and learned throughout the industry from folks who have tried and tested product, including myself, including Scott. Scott wears a CPAP. He has a little bit of problem with his mask tearing his beard up. Back during COVID, when we were all wearing the cloth mask, I had the same problem with my mustache. It really plays havoc on it. Condition. We've talked about this many times, but let's go back to the beginning of your beard. All right, some guys genetically have good genes that follow in their footsteps. They say it's on your mother's side, usually. My dad had great hair. My grandfather had great hair. My mother's side of the other family was a little thin, so I don't know if that theory really works all the time. But I've been blessed with good genes, number one. Number two, you have to trim your beard and your hair. You have to keep those dead ends off of it. Otherwise, it stops growing. To get the growth that you want, you have to keep it shaved and trimmed. That's an important part. Now, naturally, some guys' chin whiskers just grow faster than their sides do. It's just a natural progression. I even had the same problem when I first started. That first year, I was depressed. I couldn't get this to fill in. Of course, I already had, just this portion of it to start with that I had wore for years. But trying to get it to catch up, and of course, we talk about the 10 MCGs of biotin, and then of course the hair products is probably one of the most important things that you can do for your hair and your beard. I'm gonna let Scott take over at this point because he and I have come down to the point that we have really found a great solution for long hair, especially products that we use. And you can ask 10 Santas what they use, and you'll get 20 different answers. It's just find a product that works for you. And if you have questions, ask your local Sally's. Most of the time, the folks that work there are pretty knowledgeable. I'm lucky I have one at my store that's a retired hairdresser. She worked for 40 plus years in the industry. Now she works for Sally's and shares her secrets. To you, Scott.
Well, the one thing is that we see a lot of Santas using powdered bleach. Bob and I both started out using powdered bleach, and we use a 20%
20 volume
developer. But we've found that to help keep moisture in our beard and our hair, we've gone to this Ion Bright White. It is a cream, and it's in a tube. And it's called Bright White, and we find, and this is 8 times lift, you can see. So you get a good lift out of it if you're dark-headed. And we use the Ion, and it's in the tube, 20% by volume developer. And the thing that a lot of people are mistaken is that if you go up on the percentage volume developer, you will burn your hair up because it makes it and that much hotter. Our hair follicles are not prepared to take that kind of abuse, because when you have to do your hair, your beard, there's the time lapse there, and the higher volume developer will cause your hair to actually break, get brittle, and burn off. We also use something called Booster One, which is, but it's in a little bottle, and it's a booster, and it's an oil that you put in when you mix it up. And we mix this 1 part to 2 parts of the developer. And that seems to be our trick to doing this. Like I said, when I wear my CPAP, it's a nasal cancer, nasal puffs, and it breaks the top of my hair off right at my lip. So it grows out and gets dark quicker because of the regrowth. So I have to bleach there a little more often. The other thing I use on my beard that I found that's really nice is it's called Chattanooga Beard Oil by Chattanooga Beard. And it's the same scent, and it's peppermint. And the other peppermints I've used in the past, I think everybody's different. The peppermints I've used in the past always kind of turn stale or sour. This stays pepperminty forever and gives a nice shine to my beard, and it keeps what itch I have from bleaching. It resolves that, and it seems to be. This is my answer and my trick to it all, and I use it got to be glued on my mustache. So that's my take. And Bob uses the same thing. He uses another oil that I have that I didn't bring. Bob, do you have that other oil, the taller bottle, that right there? And that is what a pre-treatment or a post-treatment.
It's a pre-treatment oil. The actual directions says you can put it on 10 to 15 minutes, rub it in vigorously into your scalp and hair before you do your bleaching, and it helps protect your hair from the harshness of the bleaching. The lady at Sally's told me I can actually mix that into my bowl with my mixture, my 20 volume, and my cream, and we mix that. The booster accelerates the bleaching process, enhances it. This is another trick many of you have been told through the years about. Sweet and low keeps the burn. You can use anywhere from 2 to 5 packages, depending on how much you mix up. We always mix a full bowl for my hair, a half a bowl for my beard. The most important part about bleaching is to remember, or leaching as they actually consider it, is that the time is critical. If you for instance, you got hair like I've got, it takes a good 40, 45 minutes for my wife to get it all into my hair when I'm doing my complete hair. You really should only do to where your dark roots start and end, which is time for me to bleach right now. Otherwise, when you do a lot of overlapping, it thins that tube shoot of your hair and it gets brittle and will break off at that point. So try not to do the complete hair except once or twice a year. Usually I do it midsummer and then again just before the season starts. The rest of the time it's just touch up. Also remember that the time, as I said, is important, because if you got a 20 volume, the most you can keep it on is 45 minutes or so. You got to get it out of there. So what that boils down to is that you want to multiple bleachings. Start 2 months out, month and a half out. Now is the time to start if you're going to start to work in November. Bleach it, wait a week, bleach it, wait a week, bleach it. By that time, you should be, white snow, or snow is white as snow. And if you have to use a purple shampoo, use it sparingly and don't leave it in very long. A lot of guys I've used purple and blue shampoos in the past. They worked fine for a while, and then one day woke up and used it, and for some reason it didn't rinse out, and I looked like Papa Smurf. And I think it's happened to many of us, so I quit using it.
The other thing you can do is also mix your regular shampoo and the purple shampoo half and half, and just shampoo with it, and it will help. The purple shampoo will do its job, but the regular shampoo actually kind of keeps it from being Papa Smurf. And that is a great neutralizing shampoo. But before we go to that, Bob, hang on 1 second. 20 minutes is all I leave mine in. I let my wife will put it all in or get it all in, and once it's in, when I do my eyebrows, which are very touchy, make sure you don't get it in your eyes. It is terrible. I mean, you'll go blind. But 20 minutes, and when I put a timer on, the minute she gets, I do my beard first, and it's harder to get the bleach. Then she does my hair. The minute my hair is done, I hit the 20-minute timer. 20 minutes. When it starts beeping, I'm actually walking in the shower to wash it out. So you don't want to play with the time, but you can look at the hair as the bleach is on there. You can actually see it changing. When you get done to get in the shower to do it, you need this shampoo Bob's got. A pH balanced shampoo, and it actually stops the process.
It's a neutralizing shampoo, and it is, as Scott said, pH balanced. Again, the lady at Sally's is the one that turned me onto this. You can buy the more expensive brands for $8, $10 for a bottle smaller than this. This is around $2 a bottle. You get it at Kroger, Walmart,
Amazon. Get 2 bottles of it for, I don't know, $12 or something like that.
And what happens is when you bleach your hair, you get those chemicals they actually are on your scalp, and the tube of the hair opens up and the keratin and stuff comes out of it. That's what takes the color out. That shoot stays open for 2 to 3 days, and that bleach residue on your scalp will continue to lay there and irritate your scalp. Believe me, I had oozing blisters multiple times when I first started, scabs for weeks, because I didn't understand the process. This stops that bleaching process when you use it, pH balance and neutralizer. And
I just started using that, and I don't have the itch and stuff and the problems afterward. It's great.
Exactly. You know, a lot of guys will develop dandruff if they bleach a lot. That's again because that chemical stays on your scalp and dries it out. So neutralizer gets that out, crystal clean. That's one of the things it says here, that it restores the pH balance. It also helps protect the shoots and the core of the hair. Okay, now back to the ion products. There are a million different products out there that you can use. The ion, the reason I started using it again was Nellie at the Sally store turned me onto this. It's a non-ammonia product. It's for sensitive scalps, and I have sensitive scalp. I've had problems with, like I said, blisters. I've had even problems with rash from using Trionics. I was allergic to something in the Trionics. Took me 6 months to get rid of the rash. I had 2 different dermatologists. Finally got it cleared up, so I can't use Trionics. A lot of guys use it. KO Blonde. There's lots of good products out there, but the non-ammonia, sensitive scalp, ion is what I have found to be the most gentle on my scalp and still gets the job done.
Yeah, there's ion products have a lot of really good stuff that helps the protein and helps to refill your hair when it's been bleached. It's called Ion Repair also. It's got all those things in it. Comes in a big monster bottle. In fact, I bought 2 the other day. Buy one, get the next one half price. But it's you've got to get that moisture. You've got to get your follicles refilled because otherwise they stay brittle. So that's why it breaks off so easy in a couple minutes longer of the bleaching. So, but Ion's got some great products. But
This is keratin in it too, so that helps with the conditioning while you're bleaching. I went to the cream, and I think Bob did too. And what's funny is Bob gave me the powder and the 20%. It started me on my bleaching because my very first year I used the actual white beard white, and I painted my beard every year. And this is much easier, but you know, the thing about it is I was using this. Bob was, and then Bob said, "Oh, I've got this great new product. I'm using this. I've been using it 2 years because I couldn't get the other product, so I went to this, and I won't do anything else. It's a little more time consuming to mix because of the cream, but it lays in very nicely. It's not hard, and it doesn't smell like it's not high and clean like the other bleachers are, and that's the thing I like about it. At least, you know, my kids can come in and out of the room, or my wife can out of the room while I'm doing it, and they don't have to wear a gas mask or a respirator, you know. So this is the bomb, guys. I mean, if you're using something else and it works for you, it's great. My thanks not to you. Just be careful. Let's not burn our beautiful face and hair up. But this is very gentle, and I found it works great. And I'm probably one of the younger Santas on here, you know, as far as time and experience. But, you know, the one thing I have learned is I listen to everybody else. I talk a lot too, but I listen to everybody else and learn from their experience and their mistakes. So this is Bob Mack and I are doing great, white, healthy beard.
Right. Once Ron McClam, he's joined us, and Ron uses Trionic, and he's 100% happy with the Trionics. He bleaches often. His beard grows faster, turns darker faster than anybody I know. And so, again, if you are happy with what you got, fantastic. If you're not, this may be another route you want to think about. That brings us to conditioners. Conditioners is very important. You need to hydrate your beard constantly. For me, Derek Dugan turned me on to this. This is called It's a 10. This is pricey. This stuff is expensive. but it only takes a squirt or two, and it goes a long way. And this little bottle will last me 8 months, usually. Sometimes a little longer, depends on how much I use it. I only use this after I get out of the shower, but this is a miracle leave-in product. It's a conditioner, fantastic. It works really good on hydrating my mustache. And this is a new product that I have found recently. Everybody has used the Mane and Taylor shampoos and conditioners. This is a spray-in detangler extreme and is biotin infused. This stuff is amazing. Longer hair, you get tangles when you try to blow dry your hair. You'll get tangles in it. You squirt a few squirts of this in there and your comb glides through it like hot butter. So fantastic, does a great job. Just a few of the tips, a few of the things that we use. I know the shows went long today, but we thought this segment was important. Again, Ray Bradshaw, if you're still on here and you still have other questions, reach out to me after the show and I'll help you in every way I can. Also looking forward to seeing you, Carolyn, this weekend at the meet. I know that you told me you were coming, so looking forward to that. All right. Any questions from those out there in the audience watching today? And Randy, you can follow up what we were just talking about.
You're a little choppy, Bob.
Yeah, a little choppy there, Bob. You still there? Are we losing Bob? I think we might be losing Bob a little bit. Maybe he's got some bad weather down there.
But anyhow, Bob, are you still with us?
I'm still here. Can you still hear me?
Now you're back.
Much better. You must have lost your bandwidth.
I was just asking Randy if he had anything to follow up with on the hair care tips.
And there is just so many different things. Like I actually did a thing last week for Hire Santa about hair care and all that. And again, my products were totally different besides the ion. But it's exactly what Bob said, everybody. Try different things. Try it because it doesn't always work for different people's skins. I'm going to try the tube stuff that Scott showed today because I want to try that. Even though I go to a stylist to have mine done, I don't bleach myself. I did it many years ago and I was bald, so I don't take the chance anymore. I did buy a ZR beard and wig to make sure I can still work, but I go to there and I just do a little touch up here and there. But I think that product that Scott showed, like you can always learn something different on everybody because all our skin is different, all our hair is different. Remember, hair on your head is different than hair on your chin. It's totally two different types of hair, so it's got to be treated different. Like I said, get it done in 45 minutes. Well, the back of my head takes forever. That's got to be done first before that can get started. So then they can do the rest. So we've learned after time. So mine might be different than everybody else's. It's a process, but it's worth every second of time, every little bit of money. I hate to say this, but last year I got my hair cut then in January. Went to my stylist in January. And she's all done, and she starts. How they do? They sweep up your hair. They clean up the thing. And she goes, that's $500 I'm sweeping up. That's $500. She didn't have to tell me it was $500, but but it's worth every penny. To look, like Bob said, as white as the snow, and that's what we want to do to have that look. So it's worth it. It's a labor of pain when you get the blisters, but
it's a labor of love for kids.
I wouldn't give it up for the world to see those smiles,
Right.
And again, since I went to the non-ammonia ion sensitive scalp, I have had no burn, no scabs, no blisters, and as Scott mentioned, the smell. You don't have that smell. The ammonia, I guess, is part of what burns your eyes and your nose and causes you to have to breathe through a tube, as you've seen many guys do in the past. And something else real quick while we're on the subject. I know we've ranted on about this for a while, but this is important. I see a lot of guys that go to professional hairdressers and they'll wrap their hair up and they'll wrap their beard up and they put foil between layers. I've never done that. I've never done that. Leave it on, your maximum amount of time. You go in and you rinse it and you come out looking great. I know.
I am does his. He puts cellophane on his.
I know. When Barry was on the show, he had wrapped his up in cellophane, and when he took it apart, where it had been bent because he bent it under to wrap it, it broke. I don't know if he left it on too long, if it was something to do with the way it was wrapped. It was something that was, a big question. But be careful with your beard and your hair. It's everything. It's your season. If you lose it, This late in the game, it's hard to find a replacement for it. If you was to send off to Maggie ZM Hair, you might get one quick enough if you asked her to mail it overnight. But I mean, take care of your stuff, man. We can't do with that. Rex, I hope them squirrels aren't back on the cable again.
Well, my thing is, my final word on this is, guys, you said, Randall, your hair is harder to color. My face is harder to color, and I do my face first, then do my hair, and come back and hit the darker spots in my face, and I do my eyebrows last because I don't care if they get real white completely or not. I'd just rather not burn and have none, you know. But the time limit is, don't go over, and I will reiterate this: do not go over 20 minutes after it's in there. I mean, it's,
a couple minutes can make the difference of having a beautiful white and being bald.
Exactly.
And being dead. It could be a couple minutes.
This this stuff Bob and I use, my Sally's Beauty Supply, and that's where we get it. My Sally's Beauty Supply says, do not put heat to it. Do not. Just leave it and do your 20 minutes and wash it out.
Yeah, I don't use heat. Of course, when I went to the hairdresser the first 3 times when I first started, wife went with me. She watched what the hairdresser was doing. But when they put me under the hood, that's when it started burning, and that's when I got the blisters and stuff. So I don't use heat. Now I do blow dry a little bit with heat, now when I wash my hair, sometimes on low heat, sometimes no heat at all. Just depends, but if I'm in a hurry, I have to put a little heat to it to speed up that process sometimes. Okay, so I want to address something that Ron McClam brought up, which is a great point. He treats his already bleached hair with coconut oil for extra protection. As we mentioned, the little tube of oil is a pre-treatment. It's kind of the same thing. Some guys are allergic to coconut oil. I know 2 guys that can't use it. Again, this is a substitution for that. Scott's one of them that can't use coconut. And something that I have found, though, that for me works really great, and I know it kind of sounds bad, but wait 3 to 4 to 5 days before you bleach of not washing your hair. Let it get extremely dirty, because that natural oil that builds up and natural things that get in your hair through the course of not washing it for 3 or 4 or 5 days helps protect your hair when you bleach it, along with the pre-treat oil or the booster oil. And I use both, the pre-treat and the booster oil. And again, Ron McClam uses the coconut oil, which works fantastic for him.
Like Bob said, let it get greasy where it starts to itch, and it's like, oh my God, I got to wash my hair. Then you can bleach, but don't do it before.
Almost to the point that you can't stand it. It's a 10. Scott Parker wanted me to show this again. It's a 10. It's Miracle leave-in product. Again, Derek Dugan turned me on to this. Derek swears this is why his hair and beard looks the way it does, and I agree with him. It's a fantastic product. The problem with this is you can use too much of it. Same thing with the mane and tail. You can use too much of this. If you use too much of these 2 together, you'll look like you've been up underneath the diesel truck for 24 hours with the oil dripping on you. It'll really grease you up, make you greasy. It's okay if you want to wash your hair, once a day. Again, I try to go 2 to 3 days between washings. I try not to wash mine more than 3 times a week. Most of the time, 2 times a week. That's just because I don't want to, overwork it. And the natural oils are good for it. That's mainly the natural oils are the best.
And Scott Parker, yes, it is pricey, but it doesn't take a whole lot. A small amount goes a long way with that stuff.
And this one right here is the, I think it says 4 fluid ounces.
So it's $10 an ounce, basically.
This is a small bottle, but it does last a long time. Like I said, this little bottle right here, if I use it sparingly, and I usually put 2 squirts from my mustache, 1 squirt for each side, and I put that in the palm of my hand. I put it on my finger, and I work it in, especially towards the ends. And then I put 2 more squirts, work it in the palm of my hand, and work it in and underneath, and that's all you need of this. And it'll last you a long time. All right, guys. Doggone, we've been on here for an hour and a half. Fantastic show today. Great job, everyone. Great participation from the audience. Thank you all for coming in, tuning in with us today. We love each and every one of you. This show is only possible because you guys sit out there and listen to us ramble. Hope that you learn something each and every time you tune in. Any final thoughts there, Mr. Randy?
No, just thank you guys for joining us every week. Don't forget tomorrow night, of course, and most of all, stay safe, stay healthy, and always stay magical, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Be jolly.
I want to thank Randy. Thank you, Scott, for coming in with us today. Great content, great addition to what we were talking about today. The hair care products Scott and I have tried over the course of several years to come up with a solution for his sensitive problems, my sensitive problems, and I think we finally got it solved. And there's so many people that question and ask, what do you use? How do you do it? Again, we're not professionals, but through the experience, we have learned what works for us. And try it. If it works for you, fantastic. We've helped you out. If not, then check with someone else because they'll tell you another way of doing things. Thank you, Ron. You have a good day too, brother. And
Thanks for joining us, Ron, Scott, Parker, AJ, Rex, everybody that was on today. Yeah, we appreciate you being here.
Yep, fantastic. All right, guys. We want to say thank you so much. Until next time, we'll see you tomorrow night. Remember, 7 p.m. for the Cherry Hill program, guys, recruiting. Find out a little bit about the 2 new people, get to know them a little bit better, and then we'll talk, of course, Cherry Hill business. And remember to see us here next week, 3 p.m. Monday. Hey.
Bye, everybody.
Till next time, God bless.
Be safe, stay healthy.